Has everyone caught up? Have you taken a look at? I mean, some of you were coding along, but I just want everyone, has everyone understood the init and destroy method? How we had overridden? No confusion, no questions so far. So now let us start focusing on overriding the do post method. So everyone knows who is going to call it? Web container whenever the form is submitted. So start working on it and let us finish this part and test it also. So all of this will happen, but start with this. First statement is set content type. Uh, like I said, most of you, majority should start writing along, but if a problem, just focus on understanding as always. So response dot set content type. This part doesn't change. Text slash HTML. Next is the get the print writer to send the response body, to send the response, I'll simply say. So try with resources. And here, everything we are going to do it within that. So print writer, response dot get writer. So these are the standard things. Later I will say keep one such template servlet ready. So anytime you want to create a new servlet, you don't have to waste time in writing all of this. So now you start participating. Client is going to send the request parameters. So which is the method we are going to use to read this email and password? Everyone knows the answer. So I'll write the left hand side. RHS please, request dot get parameter. Okay, so let's do this. Request dot get parameter. And please be sure, I mean, only thing, which you waste time in is, spelling mistakes, not matching, not doing. So open the login form and the request parameter name I have used. I don't know whether you have modified it all. It should just match properly. So here I'm saying EM and next one is pass. So I say here password. So this part we had discussed already yesterday. We're just using it in our case study. So email is read, password is read. Clear so far? No, this thing, doubts, no confusion. Okay, now we are already doing the separation of concerns. JDBC logic we have already written inside a DAO layer. So now who has to invoke the whose method? Servlet has to invoke the DAO's method. So here login servlet. This is what we are in, invokes DAO's method. So that is what we had finished in the first half. User DAO dot. The method name I'm using is validate user and email and password. And assign it to left hand side, control 1, assign statement to new local variable. And I can say user. Same discussion now. Once you understand the point, things become very easy to repeat. Why there is a compiler error? Unhandled checked exception. Can you add it in the throws class? No. So the only option is catch all. And now a centralized error handling. So as a standard policy, we throw the exception to the caller. Who is going to be the caller of your do post? Do post caller is service. Service caller is public service. Finally, web container. So ultimately it is web container. And how do you do that? Which are the only exceptions you are allowed to throw? One is servlet exception. One is IO exception. But IO exception is typically for reading writing errors. So typically we use servlet exception. So throw new servlet exception. Always give meaningful messages which are easy for debugging later. So error in do post of get class. And here you can supply the root cause. So I'll wait here for a minute. You check if it is clear. You tell me whenever you have completed this. We had identified the whole logic. We are just import statements here. Where you have a problem with the compiler, you tell me, I can help you that way. There's no import static here. There's no import static. I'm not using it. Okay. So, guys, I told you here, waiting for everyone will be a little difficult, but I'll wait for sufficient time. All I have done is nothing great so far. Reading the request parameters, calling the method, and done the exception handling part. So parallelly you here. Now you just have to do the checking. So open your DAO layer method later and you will see. I hope you have done it in the correct manner. Your DAO layer should return null in case of invalid login, otherwise not null. So let's do the check here. So check. If user equal to null, tell me, what does it mean? Success or failure? It is a failed one. So in that case, we have already decided I want to send a link to the client in the response body. So if I want to write anything to the client, to the response body, what is it we use? If I want to send anything to the client, what is it I use? Print writer. No. Print writer and print method, right? So here pw.print. And here you give you do slight formatting, not too much formatting. And here I'm giving invalid login. User has to know what went wrong, right? Invalid login. And let us give a link here. Everyone knows anchor tag. Please retry. That retry is going to be hypertext. href. Now, when you say see, I have already started with the double quotes. So here you can always add. If you add a double quote, then I'll have to escape it /. So instead add a single quote and you tell me, in case of invalid login, where do you want to take the client on the retry link? To the topics page or to the login form? To the login form. Everyone knows that. So login.html. Okay. So this is closing of anchor tag. This is your hypertext. And this is your closing of the, sorry, this is the closing of the tag. This is closing of the hypertext and then closing of your h5. This should be reminding you of JSX. In React components, we'd have JSX rendered from the JavaScript here, and that is like HTML, right? So here we are rendering your HTML from inside Java. And over time, it definitely gets more complex and more irritating. That is when I'll introduce you to something called as JSP, where you have a clear-cut separation. Anyway, you tell me, if branch is clear, in case of invalid login, what is it we want to do is send the retry link to the user. Now write the else branch. What is the meaning of else branch? Not null, indicates successful login. So tell me, what is it we want to do in that branch? You know this. So here, login successful. And here are your user details. Okay. So user details, we are simply printing. And where are these user details? Plus user. And you can close this. Okay. So this is what is the first draft, first page. I have not done the redirection or page navigation. Let us see whether the basic integration of a servlet with JDBC is working. And then I'll take you further. Do this much. I'll send you this. Login servlet in case you are, lagging behind or something. src main Java pages login servlet. I've sent you. In case there are any mistakes and all, we'll of course figure it out. Okay. So it is the time to test. Has everyone completed it? Not everyone. Like I said, in lab, I'll definitely wait for each and everyone. In theory session, it becomes a little difficult for me to wait. So understand accordingly. So let's try to run this. And when I say run this, do the systematic troubleshooting. Don't just jump to client. Anyway, we'll do it together. So right click, run as, run on server. Oh, sorry. Let's say cancel. I actually, I was saying, I'll tell you what I was thinking. Whether I have got any message in that init. So login servlet. In the init method, I have not put any SOP, but in the user DAO implementation constructor, I have said user DAO created. So answer the question before running it. When do you expect to see this user DAO created message? After the first request or at the application deployment time? At the application deployment time. That is why I paused. I was just wondering whether I've got some SOPs to tell us. So now say run as, run on server, and watch the console. All answers are in the console. Forget the client. Don't be in a hurry to go to the client at all. Watch the console and tell me. This tells you that eager initialization. Remember servlet 2. But what does this tell you? This should tell you that your login servlet lifecycle has started. You can add more SOPs if you don't understand the flow. And in the init method, we have called the user DAO instance, and user DAO has been created. Getting this? So this tells us confidently that your servlet init method and the DAO layers constructor is all fine. So that has been tested. Now with this understanding, go over to client and let's give the invalid password. Invalid login first. Let's see whether we get that link. So user login. Something. And you can see that since I don't have anything of that sort, I get a retry link. Are you getting this? Invalid login part. Keep checking this. We've not put anything here. So this should be all fine. And now let me open, what was it? Select star users, give the correct credentials. So for example, admin, I'm not logging in as customer. We're not doing the role-based authorization to be precise, but still, let me give the users, customers login, KIR, Kiran's login, kiran@gmail.com and 123. Okay. And you should see the entire details. That is user. I have guys you should not send the password and all that in some text form. So I've suppressed the password in that 2 string of user, but I can see the rest of the details coming up. So tell me, is it working in the invalid as well as valid branch? So this tells you that you have successfully integrated servlet with the underlying database. Okay. So this was the first objective of today. Most of you are getting it. I hope nobody's having any problems. If there are any problems, of course, I'll help you individually in the lab, but you can help yourself by looking at the console. There will be some exception, and that exception will give you some clue that, okay, this must be wrong, and you can fix it. Like I said, even if it is not working, please continue coding along with me in case you want, so that your basic code will be ready and you'll get a lot of revision time in the lab. That's the plan. So now since we are going to discuss the next objective, you can stop the server in between. Okay, so now open the case study. Which part have we solved? A very basic part, the login part. So our form is in place. Your login servlet is fine. The DAO instance, the validation has been done, and the cleanup also. But now tell me, in case of invalid login, retry part and this part, invalid login part, we are taking him back to the form. This is done. But in case of successful login, do you want to display the details on this page, or do you want to navigate the client to the topics page and show the topics from here. Everyone knows the answer. We want to take the client to the topics page. But guys, this is just your second day in Servlet. So bringing in the whole case study in the beginning could be little difficult. So we are going to break it down in parts. So see the part we are focusing on. So the current objective is not the entire case study, but a login logout flow in the current application. So what we are doing is in the next step, I'm taking you step by step. So you won't feel pressured. So login form, login servlet, done. In case of successful login, here I will show you the navigation technique. There is a redirect scenario. We'll talk about all that. So listen to my question. If the user has logged in successfully, do you want to automatically navigate him to the topics page, or do you want him to click the link and say, take me to the next page types? Automatic redirection or link? Of course, automatic navigation. So that is when I'll get a chance to show you page navigation technique. So we will redirect him to the topics page. And later we want to show the topics. I mean, in the whatever that radio button form and all. But currently, whatever we were displaying from here, successfully logged in details, we will try to display the logged in user details from the topics page. Then we will give the logout link. It is a very tiny part, a small part of a larger case study. And then we will write the logout servlet. So tell me, is the smaller part of the web application which we are going to start, is it clear? The flow wise it is clear what we are going to do, so that you don't have to come to the last form. Of course we will do it today, tomorrow included, but gradually. So now what I'll suggest is open. So open the code. I hope you have stopped the server. Development time, stop the server. And I'll tell you why. The moment you say save, it will immediately reload the entire web application. And trust me, it gets irritating after a while. So go to the login servlet. And I hope I made myself clear. Tiny change we are going to do is redirect in case of success. So the user will be navigated to this page. We are not showing all the topics. We'll do that later. But here I'll say that message, successful login, and these are your details, will be generated from the next page. So once again, I'm asking you, is the objective clear? And then of course, we'll add logout link, etc. Okay, so let's continue. So now for this, no change in init. Init is already tested and all right. No change in destroy. So you tell me now, which branch will change? If branch or else branch? Everyone understands it? So else branch. Okay. So here, I'll have to write the more details. Actually, I won't, but here. So now this was your first one. You can make the versions copies. I'm not using Git and all, but you can always make copies. So here, I don't want to do that. So remove this. Remove this means I'm keeping it under comment, because later you can refer to this. Here, what we want to do is navigate, automatically redirect the client to the topics page. Always first write down the comment to indicate what is to be done. So I hope comment is super clear. So at this point, now we are entering a very important topic in web programming, page navigation techniques. So I'll send you that help. Java help. I'm just checking. Yeah, I can send you the whole help. Actually, just give me a minute so that okay, I'll send session tracking also you'll require, but later. Okay, let me just give you this page navigation help. Later, I'll compile it into one and send you. So, because I've drawn a lot of diagrams and the flow charts and all that. So it is better if you have, you should be able to open it independently. Just a second. So I'm telling you today's compulsory reading homework. I think yesterday you followed my instructions and you understood about that HTTP servlet in a better manner. So please make a mental note somewhere. Today you are going to definitely go through page navigation techniques readme. Today I'm covering one half called as client pull technique. So only what I cover, I expect you to read and go through this flowchart, page navigation techniques. And what I'm going to discuss is the redirect scenario. So three things I'm telling you, it won't be more than 10 to 15 minutes read time. So start opening. You can, that's why I shared. So open that page navigation technique and let's start reading this. I'll highlight and you please read. Read this much. I'll explain word by word. Four point one zip also. Okay, I'll share that. Yeah. Okay, I have uploaded this also 4.1 in case you want to this thing. I mean connect with it. So now focus here. Read line by line. What is the meaning of page navigation? Page navigation means, I told you, J2E is not a single page application. So actually taking the client from one page to another page is the meaning of page navigation. In React, we have routing. We take the user from one component to another component, but the page is the same. Are you understanding? Related to what you know already, and it will be a good understanding. But here we will have login page, topics page, tutorials page, logout page, etc. So that is the page navigation. So which are the two different ways of page navigation techniques in Java? One is client pull and the other one obviously is called as server pull. So when you say, listen, okay, let me say this again. All these are the fundamentals of your Spring MVC. In short, session tracking and page navigation. If you don't understand, you cannot build the good web applications in Java. So very important. Both the topics of today. Anyway, so when you say client pull, you are going to take the client, navigate the client from one page to next page. Is it going to happen in the same request coming from the client, or is it going to happen in the next request coming from the client? Answer is next request coming from the client, all the way from the client. So there are two categories or two scenarios. I would say scenarios, not categories, of client pull. In one category 1.1, here user is involved. Means what? User has to take some action. Which action I'm talking about? Okay, let me say this. Let me say this in a simple word. Suppose you have downloaded the login form to the user, to the client, okay? And client simply keeps admiring the form. Client simply keeps looking at the form. So in that case, a client doesn't click the submit button. So in that case, can you really navigate the client to login servlet? Of course not. Are you understanding? Or suppose you have given link, log me out, and client keeps looking at it. Can you do the navigation? Answer is no. So here, who is involved? Who has to take an action? A human, a person, a user has to take some action, which could be clicking on a button, clicking on a link, and then client browser will generate a new request using a new URL, and that will be submitted to the next page. Anything which I said is not clear, please understand with a diagram. So here, when the client clicks on the login button, a new request is originated having HTTP host port /day4, today's thing, /authenticate, And that is the next request which is submitted to the next page. So tell me, this is this is an example of a client pool. So are we navigating the client from login form to login servlet in the same request or in the next request coming from the client? Same or next request. All clear? But as I told you very clearly, this involves client. Client has to click on client has to take some action. But what I'm discussing now is a very important redirect scenario. So in this redirect scenario, will user have to take any action such as clicking on a button, clicking on a link, changing the selection? Nothing. User does not take any action. So what is the current thing? After the successful login, the login servlet, I'm going to give you an API. I'm telling you guys, J2E methods are more than easy. There's one method, response.send redirect, and the redirection is done. But the internals are interesting, little involved. So, anytime you want to automatically do the navigation, read this. You have to use the API. Client browser can automatically generate the new request to take the user to the next page. And later you'll see the next page can be from the same website, or you could be having a payment gateway or some other website. In short, you can redirect the client anywhere. Today, we are redirecting him to the next page in the same, same application. So if you want to do all this, you have to use the API, you have to use the method. So which is the method we are going to use? It is the method of the servlet response, HTTP servlet response. And the name of the method is send redirect. So how will you call it? In that else branch, response.send redirect. And what is the argument you are going to pass is redirect location. What happens internally is too interesting to just talk about it. We'll talk about it in a minute, but one by one. So here, redirect location. So I've given the example. If you are redirecting the client from, let's say, servlet1, which is having a URL pattern of /s1 to servlet2 with a map to /s2, again, don't make the mistake of saying slash. It will skip the context path, context route. So we will simply say in S1, response.send redirect S2, and will observe and conclude. So this was the text description. But I personally like, I don't know about you, but diagrammatic form is what I prefer. So here is the corresponding diagram. So here, this is a summary diagram, as you can see. Oh, so here. So same thing. It is like a repeat run. So today we are discussing one half of page navigation technique, server pull tomorrow. So page navigation means taking the web client, thin client from one page to another page. Don't read in between stuff because it is little early to understand. So client pull. So same thing. Okay, let me say this. What is common between client pull and a server pull, you know? In either of the cases, you will be navigating the client to the next page. Let's say from S1 to S2, from login servlet to topics page, that is given. But what is the main difference? In client pull, a new request will come all the way from the client browser. Whereas when I show you server pull tomorrow, you will see that the same request which has been coming from the client will be visiting multiple web pages. In short, we ignore the server pull currently. And I have already told you the two scenarios. Here, when I say client pull 1, who all is involved? Your choices are client as a person, client browser, both or neither. In client pull 1, who all are involved? Answer is both. So here, if your client just keeps looking at the link or a button, nothing will happen. But here, client as a person is not involved. You will not even know. You don't have to do anything as a user. But web browser will automatically send. The client browser is involved, and that is with the one simple API. So internal details are, like I said, very, very interesting. But initially, I'll just show you from the Java docs. And that is the reason I have given you all these diagrams and all that. So I'm going to, okay, this is cookie based. Cookies we have not yet entered. So just a second. Do I have something here? Anyway, we'll draw, or I'll tell you what to ignore. I'll first explain it from the API docs. Ignore that diagram. Open the Java docs, and which API we are going to use is HTTP servlet response method. So look for HTTP servlet response. Add a mental note, reading homework. I'm giving you this HTTP servlet response. The method you have to read is send redirect. And look for a method, send redirect. Not this, the next one. So read it slowly. And if you don't understand a word, of course, which will happen in the beginning, that is when we use inspect option and understand the whole network traffic. So this is your send redirect. In case something goes wrong in writing the response, throws IO exception. So when you say response.send redirect, is web container going to navigate the client directly to the next page? Answer is no. Immediate response, temporary redirect response is sent to the client. And when I say response, what does a response consist of? Response packet, status code. So this is where your redirect SC found. This is nothing but your SC found 302. This is nothing but a redirect code. Redirect, redirect response code. And you will see a new header will be set. Anyone has any idea what will be the name of the header? It will set response header. Okay, let me not waste your time. Location. The name of the header is location, response header. And what will be the value of the location? Whatever you supply here. Okay, so this information will be sent to the client browser. But before that, response has a response body. So that response body will be completely empty. Since it does not have any response body, it is called as temporary redirect response. Okay, so like I said, you'll understand it over time. Now this redirect response has reached the client browser. So now tell me smartly, will client browser, okay, is user as a person involved? Absolutely not. User doesn't even know what is happening. What do you think client browser will do? Client browser will look at the response. When it sees the status code as 302 redirect response code, what do you think it will do? Guess smartly. Will client browser do nothing or will it do something? Of course it will do something. What is it? Any guesses? Client, no, don't say send it to the server. Better answer. Client browser will generate a brand new request. When I say request in the middle of night, think in URL. So what will be the URL? HTTP, same host, same port, and the same web application, because I have not supplied any name. So it is relative to the current web application. And what will be the ending part? The ending part will be the value of s/s2/topics, whatever. Okay. So, and okay, so this will be the URL. Which will be the HTTP method it will use for redirect? Guess, get or post? Of course, get, because this is by default web browser is generating it. So it will be with a get. And this request, so now see this. You are, look at this. You are navigating the client from login page to topics page in the same request of earlier or in the brand new request? Answer is in the brand new request. So in short, how many requests will come from the client? The first one, suppose you count it as a form submission. This is RQ1. And the second one will come from the client, which is redirect request, RQ2. So unless until you see this, you won't trust it, you won't understand it. So let us give it a try. Okay, so open the open the code. Guys, I'll tell you right away. J2E, I'm just describing how you're going to do it. API is more than easy, one liner. But the internal working, if you decide to learn, it takes a little bit more time. So here, automatically redirect the client. So here, since you are hearing it for the first time, add the comment. Whose method I'm going to use? HTTP servlet response. And what is the method? Which method we are going to use? When you write it as a comment, you automatically start remembering. So public void send redirect. And what you have is the redirect location. Okay. And in case while writing the response, I mean response content, if something goes wrong, throws IO exception. Okay. So now, so let's use it and see what happens. Response dot send redirect. So tell me, have we written that next page yet? Have we written that topics page as of now? We have not. So we will write it in a minute. So here, let me say, let's decide some URL pattern topics. So what will web container do here? Guys, think of web container as your slave. You just give the instructions to the web container using either XML tags or your APIs or your annotation. Here is the method. So the moment you say response.send redirect, there are particular things web container does. So web container immediately sends temporary redirect response. Okay, step 1, sends the temporary redirect response. When I say response, you have to understand response has status code. So what will be that status code? SC302, which indicates redirection. Then comes the header. So other headers I'm not talking about. I'm talking about the new header. So which is that header you are going to see in a minute? Location. Anyone wants to tell me what will be the value of the location header currently? What will be the value of the location header in my case? Topics. No, S2. Where S2? I'm talking about here now. So it will be topics. Okay. And most importantly, what comes after header is the body content response body. So is this response body going to be empty or non-empty? The most important segment is here it is going to be empty. And because of that, it is called as temporary redirect response. So who is sending this response to whom? Your web container is taking charge and sending the response. In short, server sending it to the client. Okay. So this reaches the, how do you know what I'm telling you is right or wrong? Inspect options. That is where you'll confirm all of that. Okay. So continue. So now it comes to the web browser. So what will web browser do? So will it keep looking at, okay, client is not involved, person is not involved. So what will web browser or your thin client browser will do? It will send a brand new request. That is why we call it as a client pull. Client browser is involved. So sends a new request. So tell me, when I say new request, anyone wants to tell what will be the URL of this request? So, you know, URL means currently we have localhost 8080.90.90. So generalize it, host : port. Have I supplied any new host or any new port? No. Have I supplied any web application name? No. So it will be relative to current host, current port, relative to the current web application. So same host port. We are working in day 4.1. So let's say day 4.1 slash, what will be added now? The value of the location header. So that is what it will be, topics. Okay. Currently, I have not yet taken to cookies and all. Let me come to cookies and we'll speak differently, or rather we'll add things. So this is the URL, which will be the HTTP method it will use by default? Get or post? How will be the data? How will be the redirect? Redirection is always done with the method equal to get. So now tell me, a brand new request is coming all the way from the client, ending in what? /topics. Same story repeats. Web container consults the map. In that map, is there any entry with the key /topics? Yet, no. So what will be the response it will send back? 404. So of course I don't want it. So what is our next job? Tell me our next job. What is it we'll have to do? We'll have to write a servlet, the topic servlet, and what will it be mapped to? What will be the URL pattern? /topics. Okay, so let us write that servlet, otherwise unnecessarily we'll get 404 and we'll test it. So here it should be method get. So add a servlet, add a topic servlet, to show all this topics servlet with the URL pattern map to /topics. Okay. So let me give you this else branch in case you need the comments. I'm going to say this literally 10 times because client pool and server pool are extremely important before I can take you to model view controller architecture, MVC architecture. Okay, so all this. So this is done. Now let's write in a 2 minutes topic servlet. I'll just add one liner in topic servlet or something and we'll see what happens. So by now, I hope you are suitably comfortable. When I say write a servlet, you should not look here and there. Right click on pages, new servlet. Topic servlet, next it. What should be the URL pattern? Everything in J2E is all about matching correctly /topics. And I hope your yesterday's lab told you when to add a slash, when not to add a slash, etc. And here, you never require the constructors. So guys, tell me, which method should I override? Do get or do post? Do get is a correct answer. So remove do post. Currently will not override init destroy. We will talk about it later whenever required and say finish. I'll wait here for a minute. Catch up. I hope rest who are not doing it are understanding it. Understanding wise, I want everyone here. Okay. And get rid of this generated code. And here, as usual, next time onwards, I'll ask you to, just copy it from somewhere. I mean, your own code. So text/HTML waste too much time. That's why. And try with resources. Print writer. And here I'll say, just the moment you come here, okay? So I'll do the shortcut here. I'll just say here, successful login. User details will see what to do after that. I mean, we'll just print here. I am just taking that. Login successful. And we are in the topics page. This is like a debugging message. We have actually yet to generate the content. We'll generate it over time. So that's it. Finish it. If you want, in the meantime, I can send you both the pages, login and topics. Login servlet, which has all the comments and send redirect and all that. And also I'm sending you tiny 2-liner topics page. You tell me whenever you are ready, we will test it together. Shall we? Okay, so before you start test, I mean, of course, we are going to do it together, but we want to we want to open that inspect option and check the network traffic. That is what is the best way of learning as per, I mean, any technology, not just Java web programming, anything. Anyway, start, deploy the application, right click, run as, run on server, finish. Watch the console. I keep saying the same things 100 times a day. And because it is important. Because if you are blindly just going away, then you don't understand what is wrong, what is failing and all that. So everyone should see user now created to get the confidence that initialization has succeeded. My DAO instance, connections, prepared statement, all cool, all fine, all good. Okay. So now come to this. Don't waste your time in what? In wrong these things. So, oh, sorry. Good, I remembered. Please open the, before saying enter, please open that inspect option. So here, because you're going to see so many things, open the inspect option and here open the network tab. Okay. So are we here? Give the correct credentials. Don't waste your time in invalid login and all that. Okay. And first things first. Are you getting this login successful from topics page, guys? When you give the correct credentials? Okay. First checklist, marked. Correct. Tell me. See, URLs tell you all the answers. So, are we having the URL of that login page, login servlet page, or the topics page? Topics page. That itself tells you that the what is it called? Navigation is happening in multiple requests. And now the whole story in front of you. So, go with me. I mean, again, I'll get it done in the lab in case you want it as a quick revision anytime. So now start tracing the request. Forget React Devel. I don't know which tools you have, but you should have, okay, how many requests are you looking at? One request or two requests? Forget the JS based request. We are not learning your JavaScript. Two requests. So now click on the first request. You will see no response data. Why so? Because the response contents are empty. So trace it systematically. I'm telling you within 5 minutes you'll be clear. So click on headers. So this is the URL. This is the request which was sent for the form submission. User filled in email password and we sent the request. So this is your first request with method equal to post. Everyone with me so far? Are you able to analyze? Dissect this network tab. Okay, now come down and see what is the response status code 302. Everyone gets it? So it is a redirect response code. And come down and see something. What is the content length 0 telling you? Response body empty or populated? Of course, empty. Are you getting the understanding? So this is the response. This is that so-called temporary redirect response containing status code 302. This thing, content length 0. And which is that special header we are looking at? What is the name of the header you are getting? You are looking at location header. No. Header name I said, not the value, Shubham. Header name is location and the value is whatever redirect location we said. So this information is sent from server to client with just one call, response.send redirect. So is the first request response loop clear? What was the request sent and what was the response received? Okay, great. Nobody confused. Now tell me, is client, was client actually involved as a person to send the new request, like clicking a link, clicking a button, or did client browser generate it? Client browser. So why don't you click on the second one? So this is the meaning of client pull, where we are navigating the client from that login servlet to topics page in the next request. So check the anatomy of that. So here, what is the URL which your browser has generated? Of course, everything is local relative to the current host, current port, current web application. Just it has added the slash topics as the location, which is the method it has used for redirect request, get, and to that, which is the response code. What is the response? This is the response, login successful. So status code is 200, all okay. And you can see that content length, this must be 49 characters long and all that. So this response. So the point is, guys, this is what is called as the client pull, one of the navigation technique, automatic redirection. Understood? Okay, so the story is in front of you and these are the comments we had already written. So tell me, is your understanding matching with the observation? Are you understanding it completely? I'm telling you, it is going to be used in Spring MVC so many times. Okay, so this is good. So this was the basic part. This is what is in the redirect thing. Now there are exam. When I say what I mean is popular questions. So this was the initial thing. Now read the next thing. If the read this, because this is what is a popular question. What will happen, kinds? So the moment you say response.send redirect, what is it your container going to do? It is going to clear, means empty the print writer's buffer. So if you have already committed the response means what? Send the response using pw.flush, pw.close, then you will definitely get an exception. So before showing you an exception, let us play with the code. Don't stop the server. We can do it runtime. So now see, this is what we will do. But now I'm just giving you troubleshooting tips. If this happens, what to conclude and all that. Okay. So uncomment line number 71, please. And here say login successful user details from login servlet. These are all the famous questions. Trust me on that. Popular questions. So I have, okay, I said save. So it has already reloaded the context, reloaded the application. So ignore it. I have a question for you. Has everyone uncommented this line number 71? I mean, everyone means those whoever. Okay. So now I have a question. When I run this, do you expect this particular output, login successful, user details from login servlet, whatever, will it appear on the client browser? It's a Boolean question. Yes or no? I'm looking at the answer. Some of you, I've got a mixed answer. Majority is wrong. Minority is right. No is a correct answer. Guys, you forgot. That's why I've written it in bold. The moment you say response.send redirect, will there be any content length? Will there be any body, response body actually sent in the response? Answer is no. So what will your container do? It will clear the buffer. I did not say it will flush out. Flush out means sending the data. Clear means empty the buffer. It will empty the buffer. It will discard all the contents and these contents will be ignored. Takes you just a second to confirm. Okay, so I hope you have saved it. I hope your web application has been reloaded. See this, reloading the context. Go to the client browser and confirm whether we are right or wrong. Just say go back and here give the correct one. And the network traffic is the same, consisting of whatever, 2 requests. I mean, authenticate and all. And tell me, did you see those contents or those contents are ignored? You saw that? Login servlet, impossible. Okay. So these are the trick questions people ask you to confirm your understanding. So in the middle of night kind of a thing, what I mean by middle of night is anytime. You should know that the moment you say response.send redirect, this page cannot generate any dynamic contents. Okay. So the response body is going to be empty. But now, if you trouble the container, see, I purposefully use these terms because you will remember these terms and you will not make mistakes. If you harass the container, by explicitly flushing out, sending the contents. Let's see what happens. So do this. So after this, okay, you put a, wait a second. Sorry. After line number 71, explicitly flush out the contents. So, and you can see save. So it will reload parallelly. Now when I say pw.flush, what is it we are doing? Here we are committing the response. Explicitly rendering the response. You can say committing the response, rendering the response. Anything is the same, committing the response. Okay. So now I have a question. So the question being asked is, when we test it again, what will appear on the client side browser and what will appear on the server side console? I have two questions for you. What will you see on client side and what will you see on the server side console? Client side browser, what will you see? A question. Will this be rendered on the client side browser? Will you see this on the client side browser? Answer is yes. You are explicitly sending the response. 100% yes. But the problem is, this is all fine. But after that, after sending the response, when you tell the container to redirect, container gets super upset. Container says, on one side, you have already committed the response and now you are asking me to send the body content empty, which is a contradiction. And in this case, which is the exception you are going to get it as illegal. Where's that? Illegal state exception. And you will get a clear-cut error message. Cannot redirect the client after committing the response. So in short, will it be able to redirect it actually to the topic servlet page? Of course not. The whole thing will be, the flow will be aborted because of the exception. Best is try it out. So you have got a lot of things to try, interesting things to try in the lab session. So just go back, give the correct credentials and observe and conclude. So first observation, you have so like I keep saying, guys, it's a whole thing is so interesting. So tell me, how many requests have been sent? One or two? One only, because that resulted into failure. Okay, and now see, so you can see that response content fine because you flushed out the response explicitly. But did it take the control? Did it generate the next request to redirect you to the next whatever next page? Of course not. And see the story on the server console. Are you seeing an exception or no exception on the server side console? 100% you will see the exception. And which is the exception you will see? Illegal state exception. And container tells you so clearly. After the response has been committed, how can container clear off or discard the buffer? Impossible. So you cannot call send redirect after you either say pw.flush, pw.close. In short, after rendering the response, this is a mistake. So getting it, understood the observation. And like I said, I've already mentioned it completely in detail in the page navigation, which is a compulsory readme. I'm not asking you to read the server pull. Forget server pull. At least read the client pull part. And I'll share more diagrams. Go through that. So which is the mistake? Which line is the mistake in the code? Everyone should know that. So which is the line which is causing the whole trouble? Is this. So here, I'm giving you this. I'm giving you a a message. So uncomment this line to understand. What was that? Illegal state exception. So my effort is, in case you get it in your project phase or in case you get it anytime, you should immediately know the debugging, troubleshooting. Somewhere you have committed the response. So to understand the illegal state exception. And you know that there's no point in keeping this. This is anyway going to be ignored. So I've commented this as well. So you're back to proper things. I'll wait here for half a minute or a minute. You tell me, I'm not saying 100%, no way, 10%, 20%. So let us recap and let's see how clear you are. So what we are discussing, guys, is the page navigation technique. So quickly, what are the two different ways of page navigation? CP and SP. CP, client pull, SP, server pull. Which one we are discussing today? Client pull. So client pull means what? Whenever you are, you are navigating the client to the next page in the current request or in the next request? In the new request, in the next request. Absolutely correct. So if you have, yes, right. So, okay, so let me say client pull one. Client pull first scenario. When you click on the button, click on the link. So here, user has to take certain action. Then client browser will generate the new request and the navigation will be done. Already seen. And I'll give an example. See guys, you have given a link. You have sent a link in this if branch. So if clients keeps looking at this link, you cannot take him to the form, right? So user is involved. But the other scenario is send redirect. So first understand it at the API level. Whose method we are using for redirection scenario? Whose method it is? It is the method of the interface HTTP servlet response, not HTTP servlet. Okay, HTTP servlet response, right? HSR. Okay. What is the method name? Public void, method declaration, send redirect, and the argument is redirect location. Next one. So if I want to open the case study, if I want to redirect from login servlet, which has, let's say, this thing, URL pattern of /authenticate to topics page with a /topics, what should I use? Response.send redirect. Here, /topics or only topics? Slash or no slash? Answer is only topics. If you add the slash, play with the code, 100% you will get HTTP 404. Which part of the URI will be skipped if you add slash? The context root, exactly. So day 4.1 will be gone and it will say /topics seems to be the context path. So you know all about that. Now the internals. When you say response.send redirect, is your web container going to navigate the client directly in the same request or is it going to send the response back? Answer is it is going to send the redirect response back, temporary redirect response back. So tell me, what will be the value of the status code? 302. What does it indicate? Client error, server error, all okay, or redirect? Answer is redirect. What will be the additional header? Content length and all is there. What will be that additional header you saw just now? Location. What would be the value of the location header? Topics. So location header is set. And most importantly, body content, response body, empty or non-empty? All discarded, all empty. So at this point in time, guys, your web container discards, empties, clears the print writer buffer. But if you have already committed the response, it cannot do that. And that is when it will throw you this thing, illegal state exception, right? Okay. So if you do it properly, now this response has gone back to the client. And like I said, you don't have to trust a word of what I'm saying. Everything you can confirm it with the inspect options, which is what you should do in the lab. Anyway, so now, so response has come back to the client browser. What will client browser do? It will check the status code. The moment it sees the status code as 302, will it sit quiet or will it automatically generate a new request? Browser, I'm saying. Of course, it will send a new request. What will be the URL pattern of the new request? URL pattern of the new request, of course, the location value, location header /topics, right? And what will be the method it will use? Get or post. Of course, it is automatically generated. There's no form submission method will be get. And this is how you have redirected or you have navigated the client from login servlet to topics page in the next request or in the brand new request. Understood something out of it? And understood the problems and the loopholes and what all. Okay. So this was your redirect scenario. So, but so this is your page navigation part of it. Now let's identify what we wanted was, so this redirection is done. Good, great. But from the topics page, I want to display the logged in user details. Okay. So open the ID. You can stop the server since we are doing some code here. Click on the server and stop the server here and tell me. So we have already redirected the client. So go to the topic servlet page and login successful is fine. This is fine. Now in the next line here, I want to say user details. Okay, so this is what is my requirement. I want to print here the user details. Is the requirement clear at least? Is the objective clear? From the second page, from that whatever, repeat the objective here. I already said it. This one, I've sent you the sequence. It is there in the sequence document. Redirect to topics page and display the logged in user details from the topics page is the objective. So I got you to the topic servlet. So this message we are already seeing. So what I want to find out is what is that validated user details who has logged in, who has entered my website. Is the requirement clear or not? Is the requirement clear? Okay. So now if I do it, a dumb thing, but still let me be dumb. If I say, what is it? I've got a variable here user. So obviously, so if I say plus user and close this, compile time error or no error? I'm asking you, I'm saying it is a stupid question. Of course, compile time error. Why? What is that user? User is a method local variable in your other page, in your login servlet. How can the scope be there? So obviously, this is not what, this is not correct. Everyone with me? I'm again taking you in a very baby steps, very tiny steps. So this is out of question. So I'm saying, let us be less ambitious and forget user details. Let me at least try to access user email. Forget about user details currently. Let me at least try to access the user email. So how did we get the user email ID in the login servlet? Everyone knows that. So copy that request.get parameter and here paste it. I'm building a story as usual with very tiny steps, very small details. So I said, of course, user variable was not available. So I said, forget it. I don't care. At least let me get the user email. So I have a question. When we run this in the next minute, what do you expect to see? User email, what value you expect to see? Suppose I have logged in as kiran@gmail.com. So what is the value you expect to see? Do you expect to see kiran@gmail.com? Girish is saying yes to that. Other ones. Empty. Okay. Empty is the wrong answer. Null. Just take the cursor there, guys. And you'll see returns the value of the request parameter as a string or null if the parameter does not exist. So 110% you are going to see the output as null. And anyone wants to tell me why null? Why it will be null? Why it won't find the request parameter? It's a one-word answer. Yes, please. Okay, so request is new. So Rohit, I'll say, so what? Convince me. I've still not got the answer. This one word answer. Request new, agreed. Of course, request new. So what? So what? Yes, of course, it doesn't consist email. That is what I'm asking you, Mohammed. Why? One word, guys. Not yet. Not yet. I mean, acceptable. No, 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 no. This which empty body? Come on. It's not a response body. It's a request. Guys, which is the protocol we are using here? HTTP. Stateless or stateful? Stateless. So, can your HTTP protocol or your HTTP server, which is your web server, can it remember the client details which are sent on the earlier request in the new request? Of course not. So that is the next topic, session tracking. I mean, setlessness. So we'll see the feature, we'll see the problem that your HTTP server or that web server cannot remember the client. And then we will enter the second interesting topic of today, which is session tracking. You must have done in your this thing, what is it called? JavaScript. Have you done that session storage, set item, get item, local storage and all of that? In React, you have done that. Okay, so equivalent things, local storage is done. Fine. Okay, so session storage is the similar, but the scope is different. Fine, fine. I'll not get there. So I will show you the session tracking techniques in your J2E soon. But first, see the problem as always. So just run this and check whether your HTTP protocol is really acting in a setless manner or stateful. In short, do you need to add the session tracking techniques at all? Always check the console as a standard thing. So my console looks all fine. Then only I go to the client side and check this. And as you can see, since it was a new request, brand new request, plus HTTP stateless. So how can your, this one, what is it called? How can your web server or a web container remember the client details which were sent from the earlier request and the next request? Impossible. So that is where we enter session tracking. So let me share that help also. So you'll have it, even if I flip the screen and all that. I'm sending you the whole session tracking help. Where's that? So just take this and whatever readmes, whatever I discuss, without me saying it is a compulsory reading homework, compulsory revision homework, revision work. So if you open session tracking, again, there are a lot of diagrams and all that. The first basic readme is regarding session tracking. So I have idea that, I mean, you have all idea what is session, but never hurts. Never, I mean, revision is always good. Read that. Read it in a little faster manner. So we won't waste too much of a theory session time. That is what we are going to do, Aman. In the session, we are going to store. What else? We are talking about the solution. Wait. And not just email. I want to store the entire user details, logged in user details, so that I can use it anytime I want. That way. Okay, so start reading. So session is a conversation, a dialogue between client and a server. Will session consist of a single request response or multiple? Question, multiple, of course. And typically from login to logout. Everyone knows HTTP and the web server are both stateless. So when you say So you have to, the only way to remember the client across multiple requests, one answer is token, that JOT token, JWT token and all that. We are not there. That's not, security is not being discussed yet. So session is the technique, session-based token I'm discussing. Later in Spring Security, if time permits, you have in your contains basic authentication. So I might give you, I mean, time permitting, I'll also show you JWT based or ready-made demos will be shared. Anyway, let me not divert. So here is the session where some unique information about the session will be passed between server and a client. So this statement, you know, even if the same client is sending back-to-back 10 requests, your web server cannot identify, cannot figure it out that it is coming from the same client. So, but if you typically use a shopping cart kind of application or banking system or even our content management system, I want to remember the client from login to logout. Okay. So in that case, you will have to adopt to remember the client details, to remember the details which are associated with the client. We will have to do the session tracking. We'll have to build in the technique. So first thing is why. What is the requirement? What is the need of session tracking? Here is the answer. Read that. Two reasons. You want to remember. Okay, see, let me ask you. Suppose there are 10 different clients connected to your web application. Would you like to maintain the information about the different clients separately, or would you like to mix it up? Of course, maintain it separately. So to identify the client across multiple clients, you have session tracking. And once a client logs in, you would like to keep the what do you say, conversational state. Conversational state means user specific details you want to remember throughout login to logout. So that is why I'm showing you session tracking techniques in Java. And in short, in a nutshell, session just represents the duration. Duration where you can, your web server using the techniques can remember the client. So the moment I say duration, there is a timeout. So what is the default timeout value? What is the default session timeout for Tomcat? 30 minutes. Can you modify it? 100% yes. There are session configuration tags. There is a method session.set expiration time, etc. So we can modify it. Default value is 30 minutes. And like I said, what will a session consist of? Single request, single response, or multiple request response? Single or multiple? Multiple. But coming from the same client or coming from any client? One session represents what? Coming from the same client. Any is wrong. Guys, you will have different session objects for different clients. So coming from the same client, typically from login to logout. But if user doesn't go visit the logout page, directly closes the browser, you have session expiration timeout, which you can configure, and the session will expire. So what we are starting with is a second topic, third topic actually. First was that servlet JDBC. Then I showed you a redirect scenario, page navigation, and now we are entering session tracking. So there are so many session tracking techniques, including hidden form fields and many more. But I'm discussing only, you have only, of course, I'm teaching you J2E. So of course, I'm discussing Java techniques. So which is the first technique in your contents is cookie-based session tracking. So we are starting with a plain old, I mean, I won't say plain old, but okay, good old cookie-based session scenario, cookie-based tracking scenario. Then you will see the disadvantages of cookie-based session tracking. And throughout J2E, typically, we are going to use HTTP session-based tracking. But I cannot directly jump there. First of all, there is a, I mean, you have contents, you have syllabus cookie-based session tracking, and you'll see that it is a prerequisite to learning. So what are we starting here is cookie-based session tracking steps. So tell me, is the need of session tracking clear or not clear? Everyone is clear? Okay, so let me make it even clearer is not the word. You can stop the server, by the way, because we are going to first discuss things and then develop. So you can stop the server. I'll tell you what is the objective. Now I'm being ambitious. I don't want only the user email. Who wants only user email? Guys, I have already recovered or rather restored entire validated user details. So I would like to restore, I would like to retrieve these entire validated user details from any page after successful login till logout. I'll repeat the statement again in a simpler English. In simple words, what I want is, when I say user details, do I want to see any null value or any compiler error? Or do you want to see this details which are restored from the cookie? I mean, the details which are saved earlier, I want to restore the whole details. Is the requirement clear? Because if the requirement is not clear, you will not enjoy anything. Okay. And that we are doing it with cookie-based session tracking. And almost immediately, we will, you'll know the disadvantages of cookie-based session tracking, and that we will replace it by something called as HTTP session APIs. Okay, one at a time. So if you open my latest share help, you can open two things. One is this README, which tells you a lot, and the other thing which I like to explain is with the diagram. So this is that cookie-based flow. So this tells you everything under 10 minutes about cookie-based session tracking, and then we will implement it. So this is your client, this is your server. No ambiguity in that. So now imagine that you had downloaded the form, and RQ1, the first request, contains its method equal to post. And which are the two request parameters you have sent in the form? Email and a password. So this form is submitted to which servlet? Login servlet or topic servlet? LS or TS? Form is submitted to, let me see what you're saying, login servlet, correct. Now that login servlet, you keep the code also open. Currently, it was hitting the database, extracting the details. But was it storing the details anywhere? Answer is no. So now we are going to take these details and we are going to put it in a cookie. Okay. So now see the flow. So this is the first request. In case of successful login, we will create a cookie. Cookies are always exchanged. I'll talk about what is a cookie and all in a minute. And the response along with the cookie will be sent. Now, browser will save the cookies depending on the age of the cookie and all that I'll discuss. And here onwards, provided cookies are not disabled, anytime client is sending the request to the same web application running on the same server, along with the request data, those cookies also will be sent. So this is what we are going to experience in a minute. So tell me, start. What is a cookie? Basic questions, because people ask you, people expect you. When you have done the web technologies, you are expected to know the cookie, about the cookie. So let me give you the options. Is it a text data or is it a binary data? All the answers, cache memory wrong, completely wrong. Cookie is nothing to do with the cache memory. It is all wrong. Text data who are saying is correct. Cookies can only store the text data. Next question. Who is going to create the cookie? Client or server? C or S? Who creates the cookie? Again, I'm getting the confusion. Guys, most of you are correct, but server creates the cookie. But creating the cookies and keeping them on the server, useful or useless? Just keeping them on the cookies on the server is useless, because cookies are nothing but going to be the tokens to be exchanged between server and a client. So what will server do? Server means in this our case servlet. What we will do is we'll create a cookie and no. Yes, you are totally off track. Stop saying. So it will add it to the response. When I say response packet has three things: status code, header, and the body. So where are the cookies added? Where are the cookies added? Always in the header, never in the body. You have to revise your understanding or affirm the understanding. Forget revise. So here cookies are always added in the header. I mean response header, and that is when the cookies will be gone to the client browser. So understand it with the API now. I've given this. You open this diagram, keep it with you, and also open my README. So here, written everything. I know sometimes, even when people have web technology experience, people still know what is a cookie and all that. So cookie is a small amount of text data. Typically, it's not going to be a huge data. Who is going to create it? Server. I'm showing you J2E. So of course, it is a servlet dev. Today, you are in the role of servlet programmer. Later, I'll show you JSPs. Or later, you'll see web container also can do it. And those cookies will be sent to the client browser within a response header. And most importantly, cookies represent the shared data. The cookies represent the data shared across multiple web pages belonging to the same website, same web application for the same client. So you can keep this the steps in front of you. I'll explain those steps with a diagram. Okay. So what is the first step? Your form has been submitted and the login is successful. So tell me, okay, let me ask you, in which case would you like to create a cookie? In successful login branch or in the failed login branch? Of course, successful login. Failed login is simple, retry and story over. So how do you create a cookie? Using Servlet API, of course. There is a cookie class, javax.servlet.http.cookie. And cookie class constructor has the name of the cookie is also string and the value is also string. Guys, cookies represent only, somebody saying cache, somebody saying binary, all wrong. Check your concepts. So cookies can only store the text data. Cookie has a name, cookie has a value, both string. So I've given an example. So we are going to write it together, maybe after a 10 minutes break or something. So first we'll create a cookie in the server space, server heap. New cookie, give some name, validated user details, user info, client details, whatever. And you will have to convert it into string because cookies do not accept any objects or binary data. So you'll have to toString it. Now, keeping cookies in the server space, server heap, totally pointless. So the moment you create a cookie, add the cookie, or sometimes you may require more. In J2E, you don't require more, you just require one. Anyway, this is a temporary kind of a thing. So we will add that cookie to the response header. All APIs are super easy. So which is the method we are going to use? We are going to use the servlet response, HTTP servlet response method, add cookie. So what will be the code? Response.add cookie, let's say C1. So when you say response.add cookie, where is the cookie added? Status code, header, or body content in the header. How do you know what we are saying is correct or not? You know the answer, network. So in the network tab now, after we make the changes, you are going to see two headers. One is the location header as before. What will be the additional header you are going to see? The name of the, location header everyone knows. Which will be the additional header? Okay, so the name of that header is set cookie. So the name of the, you'll see actually a header called as set cookie, and that will have the value which you have injected. Okay, so now this response reaches from server to client. Client sees that 302, fine. The location header, and then it looks at the cookie header, set cookie. So now the next checking starts. Now we are at the client side. I'm giving you the client browser inside as well as server side internals, both. So client browser will check, are we trusting this website? Are the cookies enabled? So first we will start with the enabled one and we will disable it and we'll check it. It's a interesting testing. So client browser will check the privacy settings. If you have blocked the cookies from the website, can session tracking work? Will you be able to remember the client details or will session tracking fail? Of course, session tracking will fail. Story over. So, but if the cookies are enabled, then what is the next check your client browser does? Now, guys, cache and all comes into picture, not directly with cookies. So now browser will check the age of the cookie. But at the time of creating the cookie, generally means in J2E, you don't set the cookie age. So the default age of the cookie is -1. That is the expiry time it is called. And what is the meaning of -1? Here that cache business comes in. So cookies are by default stored in a browser's cache. So the moment you exit from the browser or clear the cache, will cookie exist or will cookie be gone? Of course, cookie will be gone. Are you getting it? Now, which are the other two values as a interesting information you should know? 0. If you set, there's a method in the cookie class, set max age. So if you set the max age as 0, the cookie will be deleted. And if you have set the max age value, we're not doing, we are going to use the -1 default. I am just telling you extra info. If the age of the cookie is positive number, the unit is in seconds. So suppose if I say value 24 hours into 3600. So how long that cookie will be retained? That cookie is called as persistent cookie. So for the next 24 hours, the cookie will persist in browser's cache or on the client side hard disk. Answer is client side hard disk. It is going to be. So it doesn't matter whether you exit or not. So cookie is saved. But which is the default max age we are going to use is -1. So for all our discussion, where the cookie will be stored on the client side? In the browser's cache. Okay. Now the last thing. So this finishes that request response loop. First request response done. But you remember we had given SC, status code 302. So client browser will generate the next request. And now when the client is sending the request to the same web application, client browser will check, are there any cookies coming from or accepted from this website? Answer is yes. So what will client browser send? Of course, a request, HTTP host : port, whatever, /day4/topics. And in addition to that, that cookie, that user detail cookie will be added in the request header. What will be the name of the header this time? This time it will be cookie. In the response header, the name is set cookie. Request header, it is cookie. Okay. So now what is it you have got in the topics page? You got an incoming request. So now tell me, how are you going to retrieve the user details? From request parameters, option 1, or cookies, option 2? Simple question, simple answer. Of course, option 2. So for that, you require a method. So what is that method? How to read the cookie data? There is a method of HTTP servlet request.getCookies. It gives you a cookie array. If client browser has disabled the cookies, this cookie array will be all null. So we'll do null checking and all that proper. And then we'll attach a for each. We'll just iterate through this and we'll check, is there any cookie with the name user details? If you are reading my steps, there is a method get name, get value and all that. So we'll check if there is a cookie by the name user details and we'll get the value. And that value will be nothing but the user details. So this is what will give you some idea about session tracking using cookies. But are we seriously going to use it throughout our web programming or throughout our J2E? Answer is no. because there are so many disadvantages. But I don't want to discuss the disadvantages. First, let us get it done. Let us check whether this cookie-based session tracking is working at all. Then we'll look at disadvantages, and then I'll talk about a better approach. Everything after 10 minutes break. So think over it and we'll resume in 10, around 12:57. Okay, around at 1 o'clock, we'll resume. Okay, good afternoon and welcome back. So let's continue to what we were discussing. I hope you remember we were talking about cookie-based session tracking. And if you see this cookie-based session tracking flow, you will realize it involves it involves the servlet programmer to create a cookie. Servlet has to send the cookie in the response header, and then when client browser sends it back, you are going to read that cookie using the methods. Which method we will use for extracting the cookie? Request.getCookies. So that is what we are going to discuss. So I'll start with the instructions. Close everything. Don't make the changes to the same project. Or I'm just thinking, yeah, let's make copies. So whenever you enter the lab session, you will be able to look at it in a step-by-step manner. So close everything, Control-Shift-W, stop the server, and make a copy of the project. The 4.1 into 4.2. You tell me, it's just a project copy as usual. Done? Now, there's a small change here when you are making a copy of earlier core Java projects versus enterprise Java. Guys, these are the web applications. So think and answer. Can you have two web applications, 4.1, 4.2, deployed on the same context path, same context root? Will it be, I mean, will it be correct or will it be wrong? I don't think you understood me. I said, can multiple web applications on the same server Can it be deployed on the same context path? Of course not. So I'm giving you the troubleshooting tips, guys. Please don't forget. Anytime you make a copy, first thing is you have to change the context path. How do you do that? Right click on day 4.2, properties, and here the third entry from the last, web project settings. Can you see when you change the when you copy, the context root doesn't change, so make it consistent. Make this context root as day 4.2. Otherwise, if you deploy both the applications, 100% your web server cannot start because of that ambiguity. Everyone changed that? Everyone changed the context path? Okay. So now let us proceed. So when I say proceed, let me ask you. Where are you going to add this code? In which page? Adding the cookie code. In login servlet or in topics page? Which page will add the cookie? Login servlet. Everyone gets it? So please open the login servlet from day 4.2. SRC main Java, pages, login servlet. Okay. So init and destroy, don't even look at it. Come to the do post. In which branch you would like to add the cookie? Valid login or invalid login? Everyone should know this. Of course, valid login. In short, if branch you ignore, and this is the branch we are going to explore. Clear, everyone? So let us add the comments so that whenever you are revising, you will be able to read the comments also. So here, let me say this. Okay, this part is going to be the same. So here, this implies login success. Okay, everyone agrees. So now create a cookie to store validated user details. This is what we are going to do. So I'm writing the API also here. So which is the class we are going to use? There are very few classes in J2E. One of such classes, cookie. So javax.servlet.http package has the class cookie. And the cookie class has a constructor which has a name and a value. Okay. So first step is, I'll write in steps. Create a cookie on the server side heap to store a specific details about the user. So cookie, you can say control space. Please pick it up from javax servlet HTTP C1 new cookie, and you can supply the name. The name is you can choose. So suppose I say user details, any name. But when I say any name, don't add ABC and all that. And here you say, what is it I have got? User. Always observe and conclude. If you say directly user, you will immediately get a compiler error saying that there is no constructor string comma user. So this should tell you the first limitation of cookie. Will you be able to add the Java objects as the cookie data? Will you be able to add the objects? Answer is no. Everything has to be converted explicitly to string. So here user.toString. So this finishes the step 1. Are we all clear? Done this? But here, now at this point, the cookie class instance is created and sitting happily in the server side heap. But keeping the cookies on server side is not enough, is not sufficient. So send cookie. There are no multiple cookies, one cookie. Send cookie from server to client in the response header. So that is your step 2. First step was create the cookie. Second step is send the cookie. And as I told you, the APIs are more than easy. What method you have? It is a method of HTTP servlet response. And the method is public void add cookie. And what you can add is the cookie type of reference. So write the API. I'll send you this comments in a minute. First, let us get it done. So all I have to do is response dot add cookie. You can read this pop-up help adds the specified cookie to the response. And this method can be called multiple times to set multiple cookies. Currently, we're just having one cookie. So we'll call it exactly once. And add cookie C1. Second step over. Got it? Completed, understood, or forget completed, understood or not. So now this cookie has been added in the response header. But let me ask you, after this line is executed, is the response yet sent or response is not yet sent to the client? Sent or not sent? At this line, after this line is executed, not yet sent. So can you tell me the line number that at which point the response will be sent to the client browser? Line number, please. Line number 82 is a very right answer. So are we changing any page navigation technique? No, I'm happy with redirect scenario. So the same thing automatically redirects client. Exactly, you are absolutely right here. But now pay attention and respond. So your responses will tell me how much you are understanding. So web container sends the temporary redirect response, all correct. Tell me, change or no change? Will the status code be different or will it be same? SC302, no change. Will there be a header, this thing, location header with the value of topics? Yes. But will that be the only header or will there be a new header? A new header would be there. So which is that new header? Set cookie. And what will be the value of the cookie? Name and a value pair. So you'll see the name of the cookie as user. You're going to see it in the network tab in a minute. User details and the toString of that user pojo, whatever. But so how many important headers we are going to look at? Location header you already know. Now there will be additionally a set cookie header and the name of the cookie will be user details, whatever you have given here, and the value. Got it? But body contents will be still empty. So guys, it took me so much time to explain, but actual API, actual methods, if you count, line number 1, line number 2, that's it. And of course, line number 3. So as promised, let me send you this. In case, I'll be sharing this shortly, you know that. But in case if anyone wants to add the comments, you can. So this page is over. Now everyone knows the response is sent back. On the client browser, we have not yet disabled the cookies. So client browser will look at the age of the cookie. What is the default age of the cookie? When you don't tamper the age of the cookie, -1. Where would be these cookies with -1 value stored? In the permanent manner, persistent manner, or in the browser cache? In the cache of the browser. Okay, you are going to see this in a short while. And now your client browser is going to send a new request, 4.2. We are now working on 4.2. So along with this request, the URL will be here, method will be get, and in addition to that, which will be the header? Which now I'm talking about request header, guys. I already explained the response header. Response header contain this. Anyone wants to tell me which will be the request header? Cookie. And which cookie? Same cookie which you generated. Okay, so this cookie you're going to see in the request header. The name of the cookie will be, of course, user details and whatever value. Understood the statement? Understood the flow so far? Which we will confirm in next 5 minutes. So now you are redirecting the client to the next page in the next request. So now open from day 4.2, don't mix up. From day 4.2, topic servlet. The control comes here. When I say control comes here, what I mean is client browser sends a new request ending in /topics. So web container will call and method is get. So do get method and you will see this login successful from topics page. So this part, I think everyone gets it. Okay. So now the step 3, third and last step in the cookies. How to retrieve the user details, not from the request parameter or database. Why should we hit the database? We have already lifted the details from the database, right? From a cookie. So tell me, which is the method we are going to use? Are we going to read it from the request or response? Yes, the get cookies is the method, and whose method it is? It is the API of, as in method of HTTP servlet request. And which method are we talking about? It returns you the cookie array, and the method name is not get cookie, it is get cookies, because you can have multiple cookies with one request, right? And this method will return null if the cookies are not present. So let's do the checking. So start. Create a cookie array. Choose. By the way, there's an excellent information given in the Java docs. Creates a cookie, small amount of information, etc. Read that. It is going to clarify your doubts. So cookie array, let's say cookies, some variable name. And here you already have the request object created by the container. Simply call the method and read the Java docs, read the pop-up help. Returns the array containing all of the cookie objects the client sent with this request. This method will return null if no cookies were sent. So when will we get into that? Next thing we'll do is we'll disable the cookies and we'll see whether it works at all. So accordingly, you will be able to understand everything. So you can say Control-Shift-O, javax.servlet.cookies. Don't mess up in the imports. The import list, import package for the cookie should be javax.servlet.http and a cookie. Okay. So now, how do I know whether the cookies are present or not? What will be the next check? Null check. Are you getting this? Null checking for checking whether the cookies are present or not. Easy one. So if cookies is not equal to null, that means I have got some, I have hope of restoring or retrieving the user information. So I'll just put it. We'll not write it this way. We'll write it in a separate manner, but in a minute. But else branch will finish. So tell me, if I come to else branch, means cookies is null. So can you remember the client in this else branch? Will session tracking work or will it fail? Tell me. Of course it will fail. So give a message here. Cannot remember the client or session tracking failed. And the reason being no cookies. Is the else branch clear? Easier for understanding. Okay. So the initial, the else is like easy. If the cookies are disabled, how can you remember the client over multiple requests? Not possible. It is possible, but then you have to learn something called as URL rewriting. Not today. Okay. Sorry. If cookies is not equal to. So now come to the not null branch. Everyone got here? Everyone understood so far? If cookies is not equal to null, then it is here. I'm correct. I don't know whether what you're saying about the variable name or not. Anyway, so now tell me, what is cookies? It is an array. So I have to figure it out whether there is a cookie by the name. What was that name? User details or something. And then I'll have to get the value. So open my README and tell me, is there any method? Is there any method for reading the name of the cookie? There are cookie class methods, simple methods, get name and get value. So I just have to iterate through the loop and look for it. You can use your streams, you can use simple for each. Here the focus is on servlet. So I'm using simple for each. So right now we don't require this. So here you can have a simple for each cookie C, or you can say arrays dot stream dot cookies, whatever you like, you can do for each cookie C in cookies. Now, are we looking for any named cookie or a specifically named cookie? Any name or specific name? Specific name. So here you can go for this if C dot get name. For checking the equality of the name, equals method or double equal to? Equals method. Guys, you don't forget such basic facts. Otherwise, the rest of the things would be correct, but because of that simple silly mistake, your code will not work. If it equals, another my suggestion is don't trust your spellings. Because a simple spelling mistake can kill you. Unnecessarily, you'll start getting null values and all that. Okay, so I pasted this. So read it like English. If there is a cookie by the name user details, then I'm interested in that cookie value. So then I can say here, just small this, and here I can say, okay, then I can say user details from, so I can say validated user details. I'm writing in elaborate manner because you should understand what is happening. Validated user details retrieved from a cookie. Okay. And here, what is the code you will be using here? How will you get those validated user details? What should I write after plus? C, wrong answer. Get value, exactly. So here you want to extract the value, not the toString. So C dot get value will do the thing. Okay, so gets the current value of this cookie. And the moment you have got this, I don't want to continue. I want to break from this loop. So you can say break. Let me check if we are done. You also check it along with me. I'm trying to get all the cookies. Only one cookie we are going to get, but I don't know, like later maybe more. So if it is not equal to null, if it is null, simple, over. If it is not null, if C dot get name equals this, then I'm printing the details and yes, break. Go over it. I'll send you this modified thing in case you want. I'll send you both. The login servlet, day 4.2, src in Java pages, sending you login servlet, the one with the cookie, and the this thing, topic servlet, which does the login servlet does the job of adding the cookie to the response header. Topic servlet does the job of retrieving the cookie from the request header. Okay, so this is done. Let's check it out. So right, run as, don't say blindly finish. Keep only one project at a time. If you're observant, you'll see, you just say remove all. You'll see day 4.2, but in the bracket day 4.1. Because if you remember, I've just copied it from day 4.1. So this is all, this is all good, not an issue. And say finish. Okay. Watch the console as always. So I'm looking at the console. It should be all error free and it should basically say that user DAO created. Okay. Now let's go to the client side and check this user login. Before hitting enter, open the inspect tool. Otherwise, how will you know that cookie header, response, and anything and everything? Okay. So here, give the correct login only and see this and tell me, are you able to remember the client across multiple requests using cookie-based session tracking? Is it working in short? You can see this. We are going to inspect it in a minute, but first see the basic output. So this tells you that it is involving multiple requests. One, form submission. Second, redirect. And you can see all of that from the topics page. And these are the validated user details. So basically, cookie-based session tracking seems to be working. Let us understand how. So open that, open the network, and you can see here the authenticate. Click on authenticate. Rest of the things you know, request URL, method, status code. Scroll down and check what are the, come down all the way. And can you see? Tell me, which is the additional response header? You'll see two response headers. Location header you already knew. What is the additional header we are looking at? Is everyone looking at, is everyone got it? Set cookie header. And that set cookie header is holding what? Just a cookie. The name is user details. And this is that user Pojo's toString. Everyone getting it? In the whoever is trying it, those who have not tried it are going to try each and everything in the lab. So this is it. So this looks okay. And as you can see, the what is it called? The content length is 0. And if you see the response, you will see no content. Everyone knows when you say send redirect, of course, this is a redirect request. There is no body content there. All good so far? Understood completely the first request response flow? So Kunal, you'll have to debug it in the lab. So now we will look at the second request, which was automatically generated by the client browser. Click on topics. Click on headers, which is the next request generated by the client browser /day 4.2 topics. Rest of the thing is the same. Status code 200. Come down all the way and tell me, are you seeing any new header in the request? Is there any request header which you can see? Yes, which one? A cookie header. Okay, that is why I said cookies are nothing but the tokens exchanged between a conversation client and a server. So this is you don't have to do. Client browser is anyway sending you this. And we as a servlet developer, we just had to write request.getCookies and extract information. And I hope you already know. If you open this, open the application tab. You must be knowing this. That's why I asked you, do you know about local storage and all that? So currently I'm not storing it in local storage. So if you say cookies, this is the website from which we have got the cookies. So if you click on it, tell me, are you seeing this cookie here? You have to. Otherwise, the whole thing would have flopped. So you should be seeing the cookie, the name, string, the value, nothing but whatever user.toString, the whole information. Tell me, making sense? Understanding it? Got the proof of concept POC? That how it is added in the response header and how it is sent back in the request header. So will your cookie-based session tracking work when the cookies are enabled? 100% yes. So now don't change a word. Don't go to the server side. Let us say our client browser doesn't trust the server. In short, let us block the cookies. Understood what I'm saying? So what we are going to do is we are going to block the cookies from this local host, and then we'll observe and conclude. Okay, let's get going. So here, you must be knowing it already. In case you don't know, do it with me. Open the settings, open the new tab and open the settings. Reached here? We are going to disable the cookie. We are going to reject the cookie. We are going to block the cookies from this localhost 8080 or 9090, whatever. So here in that search bar, simply search for cookie. You must be knowing it. I could be all repeating and boring you, but still I'm still going slow. So say search for cookie, come down and you will see somewhere cookies and other site data. I'm not incognito here. I'm just in a normal browser mode. Go ahead. So you'll see cookies and other site data. And now here, come down all the way. Yes. And you will see the whatever, option, sites that can never use the cookies. So currently I have not added any site. Here you add your website. So guys, this is your client side. Unfortunately, we are running client and the server on the same host, so could be confusing. So what are we editing? Are we editing some server side settings or client side settings? S or C? Client side. It is the client who is trying to block the cookies. We are not accepting the cookies. So here you supply localhost, whatever. And you choose the port number. So I am using for your modify this localhost 9090. So we are adding this site. So now tell me, will your client browser Chrome, will it accept the cookies which are sent by localhost 9090 or will it block it? Accept or block? Blocked. Okay. So keep this setting here. Go back to this, back, and here simply let's do the whole thing again and tell me what you observed. Was the client redirected to the topics page? 100%. That logic is the same. But could you recover? Could you retrieve the, what is it called? Client information from the cookie? Of course not. So what changed? You know what changed. So here, this is the earlier one. So if you just say, just open that network tab and you should see, you'll see the same thing. So in authenticate request, we are still sending. We mean server is still sending the cookie. We never change the server side app. So how will it stop? So cookies are being sent, but are they really saved anywhere on the client side, including the cache, browser cache, or a hard disk or wherever? Of course not, because we have blocked the cookies. And how do you confirm that? Click on the next one and tell me now. Go to this all the way down and tell me, are you seeing any cookie header in the request? Are you seeing any cookie header? Of course not. You have blocked the cookies. Are you getting it? And as a result of blocking, what would be the value of this one? Where is that? What will be the value of a request? What will request.getCookies return? Null or not null? A null. And that is what is leading us to no cookies session tracking failed. So what is the bottom line? Can you remember the client? Can your session tracking work if the cookies are disabled? Answer is 100% no. So we are completely relying on the client-side cookies. You must have seen so many websites saying that, okay, you have to accept the cookie to continue and all that. Okay, so this is what is a simple proof of concept. So whenever you are revising all of this in the lab, first run it with a disabled cookies, run it with enabled cookies. Or you can do even more. You should always try more. Have we written this web application only for one client or multiple users, multiple clients? Everyone knows multiple clients. So why don't you launch? Do not launch another tab because all the tabs from the same browser share the cookies. Okay. So I would always recommend launch another browser, another different browser. So one was Chrome. Suppose I'm launching Edge. Try to access. Here I am not this thing. What is God? I have not disabled the cookies. So let's try this. What I want to do is localhost D 4.2. Okay. If you log in, okay, say user login. If you log in using the same credentials, kir@gmail.com, that will confuse you. So of course it will work. This time it will work because it's a cookies enabled. But in order to not to cause a confusion, let's log in as another user. You can log in as the kiran@gmail.com also, of course. But just to show you two different users, 4235 is her password. And you can see here. So here, tell me, is the session tracking working here? Is the cookie based? Are you able to retrieve, remember the client? Answer is yes. So are you getting the feel, guys? Same web application, which we have written it in a cookie based manner, works perfectly for the client who has accepted the cookies and doesn't work at all. Session tracking falls apart the moment cookies are rejected. Are you getting it? Are you getting the similar, what do you say, observation? Now go to your Chrome client again, and you can enable the cookies. So how do you do this? Go to that sites that can never add the cookies, and there is a, you can see the this thing. What is it called? Three dots settings, and you can say remove. So are we blocking the cookies any longer from this localhost 90908080? Of course not. Try this again. I think you got the whole idea. So now I'm simulating two different users logged into my website. One is Kiran, one is that Dia. So here, the point I wanted to say is, cookies are not only, of course, they are for remembering the client, but now check correctly. Here, are we mixing up the two users detail, or are you, thanks to this cookie-based session tracking, are you able to identify the client separately? Answer is 100% yes. So these are the Kiran's detail, and check the other one. What are these? These are the Riya's details. So this is what is first level of session tracking. Getting this, you understood what you can do. You can here also disable the cookies easily. So generally I'll say spend more time on Chrome, because that is the what do you say? I mean, that is well accepted browser, but you can always try out things. So of course we are stopping here, but not before telling you the disadvantages. So tomorrow when we resume, you know that there are some disadvantages of this, and I can take you to next level. So here, last 2 minutes, and that will be it. So what are the disadvantages? Okay, let me rephrase it properly. Are you going to use in your web programming in Java cookie-based session tracking? Not really, absolutely not. What is it we are going to use actually is the HTTP session API, like your session storage API, set item. There we have set item, get item. Here you have set attribute, get attribute, etc. So coming back to the point, that's tomorrow's topic, don't worry. So what are the disadvantages? What is it which is prompting us to learn the new approach here? Tell me, who has to create a cookie, add the cookie to the response header, and read it from the request header? P or WC, programmer or web container? A programmer. We used cookie C1 equal to new cookie. Then we said add cookie, and then we said get cookies. So web developer, as in servlet programmer, has to manage the cookies. Agreed? So which is a better scenario? Web container managing the cookies for us, or we managing the cookies? Of course, web container, which is what will exactly happen tomorrow in the HTTP session-based tracking. Okay, so that is the first one. Next disadvantage or the shortcoming or the limitation is, can I directly add the what is it called, shopping cart, which could be an array list of books, or any Java object, or any binary content in cookies? Absolutely not. You saw the cookie API, string name, string value. So all I can add as a value is a text. So that is a huge limitation. Next one. Currently, we are talking about a single cookie exchange between server and a client. But if you're a web application, if you keep on increasing the number of cookies being the tokens, are going to be sent in every request from client to server. That can lead into, that can result into increased traffic, net traffic. And the worst disadvantage is here. If you use the cookie-based session tracking, where is the state? Where is the information of the client stored? On the server side or in the client side? Answer is on the client side. Are you understanding? Where are these user details? I showed you all the ways, all these cookies and all. They are all stored on the client side, right? So anytime a client deletes the cookies or rejects the cookies, blocks the cookies, can you continue to do the session tracking, or did you see it failed? Of course, the session tracking fails. Okay. So because of all these limitations, we are going to learn tomorrow, of course, the new technique, that is HTTP session based technique. And that technique we will use like throughout. Got some idea about cookie based session tracking? Okay. So naturally, I'm stopping here. I'll give you in details what will be the steps. What is the revision steps in the lab? Definitely spend at least half an hour, 1 hour, whatever in the revision. And then I'll give you the instructions towards the, I would say, completion of the case study, but I'll definitely get you further. So all of that and much more in the lab. See you around. You're most welcome.